A small American robin lands on the edge of your birdbath. You watch from the window. She dips her head, flutters, splashes water everywhere. You smile and think she's just getting clean. That's what birds do, right? But what is actually happening is far stranger than most people realize. That robin isn't doing what you think she's doing. Not really. And the reason she chose your yard, your specific birdbath, on this specific day, goes deeper than anything you learn in school. Stay with me tonight, because we're going to pull back the curtain on something happening right outside your window every single day. And the last thing we cover will completely change the way you look at every bird that ever visits your yard. Welcome back. If you're new here, hit subscribe. We go deep on the hidden lives of backyard birds every week. Tonight, we're uncovering the real science behind why birds bathe, and it has almost nothing to do with staying clean. We'll cover instinct, survival, and something deeply personal about the birds that visit you. Stay until the very end. The last part is the one that matters most.
You've probably filled your bird bath dozens of times, maybe hundreds. You did it because you care, because you wanted to give the birds something useful, a place to wash off. That instinct was good, but the story you told yourself about why they were bathing, that part needs a small, important correction. Most people assume birds bathe the same way humans do, to remove dirt, to stay sanitary. It seems obvious when you watch them. But researchers at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology have found that feather maintenance, not hygiene in the human sense, is the primary driver of bathing behavior in wild birds. And feather maintenance is not about being clean. It's about being alive. Here's what that means. A bird's feathers are its entire survival system. They regulate body temperature. They enable flight. They determine whether a predator catches a bird or doesn't. A single damaged or misaligned feather can compromise a bird's ability to escape. Studies have shown that birds with degraded feather condition are significantly slower in escape flights. And slower means caught. Slower means dead. Watch a black-capped chickadee the next time it visits your bath. After splashing, it flies immediately to a nearby branch and begins preening. It runs each feather through its bill, over and over. What you are watching in that moment is not grooming. It is a bird rebuilding its armor. Water loosens the feather structure just enough to allow the bird to realign every single barb with precision.
So your birdbath is not a luxury you're offering. It is closer to a maintenance station, a survival tool. And the birds that find it and return to it are the birds that live longer and fly better than the ones that don't. That's worth sitting with for a moment. But what comes next is something even most bird enthusiasts don't know, and it involves a hidden biological clock that controls when and why birds bathe at all. Have you ever noticed that birds seem to visit your birdbath at roughly the same times each day? Maybe mid-morning, maybe late afternoon before dusk. You probably chalked it up to coincidence or habit, but it isn't either of those things. Researchers at the University of Washington studying avian circadian rhythms found that bathing behavior in songbirds is tightly linked to internal biological timing, not random impulse. Birds aren't bathing when they feel like it. They are bathing when their biology tells them to. And that timing is connected to one of the most important events in a bird's daily survival, the preening window before roosting. As daylight shortens in the afternoon, a bird's internal clock begins preparing for the night. Feathers need to be in peak condition before the temperature drops. A bird that roosts with compromised feather structure loses body heat faster. In winter, that can be fatal by morning. So the late day bath you witness isn't laziness or leisure. It is a precise biological preparation for the coming cold. The American goldfinch is a perfect example. Studies have shown that goldfinches, especially in autumn and winter, dramatically increase their bathing frequency in the hours before sunset. They are preloading their insulation system for the night. Their feathers need to trap warm air against their skin, And water-assisted preening makes that possible with a level of precision that dry preening simply cannot achieve. What this means for you is practical and immediate. If your bird bath freezes overnight, the birds that depend on it lose access to their late-day maintenance window. A heated bird bath in winter is not a cute accessory. It is a genuine lifeline. The National Wildlife Federation has noted that open water sources in freezing temperatures are among the most impactful things a backyard birder can provide. You may have already been doing this without knowing exactly why it mattered so much. Now you know. And this is where it gets truly remarkable, because bathing isn't only about feathers. There is a second system at work that most people never hear about, and it involves something invisible to the human eye entirely. Here is something happening on every bird in your yard right now that you cannot see with the naked eye. Something that bathing directly controls. And once you know about it, you will never look at a splashing bird the same way again.
Birds produce a substance called preen oil from a small gland located just above the base of their tail. It's called the uropegial gland. After bathing, when a bird preens, it is not just realigning feathers, it is coating each one with this oil. The oil waterproofs. It adds flexibility. And researchers at the University of Montana studying feather parasites found something striking. Regular bathing followed by preening dramatically reduces the load of feather lice and mites that live on wild birds. These parasites are not harmless. Feather lice feed on the barbs themselves, degrading the very structure a bird depends on for flight and insulation. A heavily parasitized bird is a compromised bird. Bathing disrupts the parasite environment. The preen oil that follows creates a hostile surface. The bird is not just cleaning, it is defending. Watch a house wren after its bath. The speed and focus of the preening session that follows tells you everything. That tiny bird is working through every surface of its body with the focus of a surgeon. It knows on a biological level your conscious mind cannot fully access, that this ritual keeps it alive. What this means for your yard is simple. A consistently clean bird bath matters more than you probably realized. Stagnant water grows algae and bacteria. It can actually increase parasite pressure rather than relieve it. Changing your bird bath water every 2 to 3 days isn't just tidiness. It is the difference between your bird bath being a health resource and a health hazard. Stay with me, because what comes next is the part most people never hear about, and it involves something the birds in your yard are doing for each other.
You may have noticed that birds sometimes bathe together. A cedar waxwing lands, then another, then 3 more. They splash side by side. You watch and smile. It looks social. It looks almost joyful. And here is the thing. You are not wrong to feel that. Bathing in wild birds carries a social dimension that researchers are only beginning to fully understand. Studies from the National Audubon Society's long-term behavioral observation programs have found that communal bathing in certain species, particularly flock-oriented birds like waxwings, starlings, and American robins, functions as a trust signal. Birds that bathe together are vulnerable together. Wings are wet. Flight response is slowed. Choosing to be vulnerable beside another bird is a low-level form of social bonding. For cedar waxwings specifically, communal bathing often occurs within the same group that will roost together that evening. They are not strangers sharing a puddle. They are flock members reinforcing connection before the night. What looks casual to your eye is, in the language of birds, something closer to intimacy. And here is the practical thing this tells you. If you want more birds at your bath and more species, size matters more than depth. A wide, shallow bird bath mimics the natural puddles and stream edges where communal bathing evolved. Cornell Lab of Ornithology recommends no more than 2 inches of water depth with a gradual slope. That design invites multiple birds at once. It invites the social dynamic. And that social dynamic is exactly what draws more species in over time. You didn't just build a bird bath. You built a gathering place, a place where birds feel safe enough to be vulnerable. That is not nothing. That is something worth knowing. And the last thing we cover is the one that changes everything, because it brings this all the way back to you, personally.
This is the part that tends to stop people, because it reframes something you may have felt but never had the words for. Birds are not random. They do not stumble into your yard by accident and happen to find the bath. They scout, they remember, and they return specifically, deliberately, to places that have proven safe and reliable. Researchers at Cornell Lab of Ornithology studying site fidelity in backyard songbirds found that individual birds return to the same yards, the same feeders, and the same water sources year after year. The same individual black-capped chickadee, the same American robin, coming back to you. When a bird chooses your bird bath on a cold November morning, it is drawing on memory. It remembers that this place was safe last time, that the water was clean, that no predator came, that it could be vulnerable here and survive. It is extending trust based on evidence you provided without even knowing you were building that evidence. Think about that for a moment. A creature with a brain the size of a grape has been paying attention to your yard, cataloging it, filing it under safe. And now, in the thin gray light of early morning, it has flown to you specifically. Not because it had no other option, because it learned that you could be trusted. That is not nothing. That is a relationship, wordless, cross-species, built one clean bird bath at a time. Here is the gut punch. The birds that trust your yard most are also the most vulnerable to losing it. 1 week of neglect, one frozen bath, one dry summer without water, and the trust that took a season to build can dissolve in days.
Go back to the beginning. That American robin on the edge of your bird bath. Wings fluttering, water flying, you watching from the window with a quiet smile. You thought she was just getting clean, but now you know what was actually happening. She was maintaining her survival armor. She was following a biological clock older than memory. She was preparing for the night. And she chose your yard, your specific yard, because somewhere in that small, brilliant mind, she had filed your bird bath under safe. Zoom out for a moment. There are roughly 300 million backyard birds in North America. Hundreds of millions of individual creatures, each one navigating cold and heat and predators and disease. And some of them, right now, are flying toward yards exactly like yours, toward a clean bird bath, toward water that someone decided to put out and maintain. In the vast, indifferent scale of the natural world, your small act of care creates a ripple you will never fully see. You felt something when you watched those birds. You always have. You felt that it mattered, that they mattered. You weren't being sentimental. You weren't imagining it. The science confirms what your instincts already knew. Those birds came to you because you were trustworthy. Because you showed up for them, quietly, without expecting anything back. You are not alone in this. Millions of people stand at windows just like yours, watching the same flutter, feeling the same pull toward something they can't quite name. You were right to feel it. It is real, and it matters more than you know, because somewhere right now, a bird is flying toward you, and it already knows you can be trusted.
I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is the one bird species you see most often at your bird bath? Just name it. I read every single one, and I love knowing which birds are finding their way into your yards. If this video changed the way you think about something you see every day, share it with one person who fills a bird bath. They deserve to know this too. I will see you in the next one.